Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Own YouTube channel. And this weekend, it's a massive game. It is Arsenal and Manchester City going head-to-head at the Etihad. And I thought with the last 10 games to come for these big three teams who are all going for the title, probably the best title race we've had in years, I thought I'd make a video on the run-in. That's what everyone's sort of titling it, the run-in towards the end of the season. The last 10 games for all these teams. I'm looking at fixture difficulty, key players, key games, and then finishing the video off giving you my thoughts on how I reckon, looking all the way 10 weeks in the future, how I believe the table will end up and who will win the title at the end of the Premier League season. Obviously, three massive clubs, three great managers, storylines of managers leaving, players, will they stay and go? It's all happening here, and it's so exciting. And considering we've had 2-horse races or really just a single horse in the race every year in Man City, it's good to see different teams involved, and it's good to see three teams going for the title. And right now, different people have different opinions. People think this team should run away with this team, deserves it. But, I looked at the stats, I looked at the information, looked at how the teams are playing, injuries, availability, fixture congestion, and I think this is the way it will go. I'll get us started with what I'm going to, title as fixture difficulty. Similar to all your FPL fans, the red, the green, the neutral colour. I went through all the teams' games to come and sort of gave them a points-based system, 3 points being the hardest fixture, 1 point being a very easy winnable fixture, 2 points for in-between type fixture. And I start at the top with Arsenal, and I gave them 19 points of difficulty for their games to come. I think they have the most difficult run-in towards the end of the season. Obviously, you got Manchester United on the second last day. They got Wolves away as well, I believe. There's a lot of hard games in them for there as well. Obviously, the City game coming up as well. They've also got Chelsea and Tottenham to play. Bournemouth, who are a hard customer as well. So they've got a lot of difficult games, a few of them away from home as well. So as such, they had 19 points of difficulty, is how I sort of saw them. In second place was Liverpool. They had 17 points of difficulty. A few home games there, but again, Manchester United away from home, tough games against Tottenham, I believe, also Aston Villa away also as well. Those ones that stood out on the top of my head, they were some big games that come for them as well. But definitely could go the other way if the momentum and form goes their way. It could go to sort of 15 points or 16 points. But Man City had the easiest by a long way in my books, especially their home games. I basically gave them 1 point all the way through because at home, City almost unbeatable. They had 14 points of difficulty in my eyes. So a 3-point gap to Liverpool and obviously 5 points from Arsenal, the biggest of which obviously is the weekend's game versus Arsenal. But then I got Aston Villa next as well. But that's at home again. So it sort of is in their favour once again with my whole point system there as well. West Ham at home is another difficult one as well, but outside of that, a much easier run in towards the end of the season for Manchester City. So they only the 14 points of difficulty. So looking at that, you think Man City are in the box seat, considering it's only a few points between these few teams. And on the difficulty ranking that I've put together here, Man City are much easier to their fixtures to come, and especially how they protect the home floor, how they protect that home ground, the Etihad there. It's really hard to see them dropping any points at home, and some of the teams they play away, I still reckon they get the better than most often than not. So that's a little, key towards the end of the video here. I've got Man City being the easiest run of fixtures to come. And how does that play into the ladder? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, definitely for me, probably the easiest out of all the teams in terms of fixtures. Let's start at the top of the table team at this current point in time, which is Arsenal. And starting with two key players for them. Obviously highlight the captain first, Martin Odegaard. Incredible points this season. Might not have the output of numbers which we're sort of come accustomed to or expect of him, but he'll be so important for this run into the end of the season because of how teams play against Arsenal now. They put that low block in. They expect and want Arsenal to break them down by playing through the lines and creating something magical. And when you think of creating something magical and playing through the lines, you think of Martin Odegaard. I think with the turn of form, I've said it in the podcast a lot of times, the turn of form that came just after Christmas where they got back in the swing of things, it was Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard and their ability to break down the low block and always be available, play the right passes and really outplay defences where they, he can drift out wide to the right there and overload that area with Saka and they can break down the overload they normally put on Saka. Most teams double up on Saka, but with Odegaard coming into that area there, he's free roam to pick the ball up, play with ones and twos, in triangles with Saka, with Ben White. it feels like they can always break down the back line. And in recent weeks, we've seen, especially the last time at the Premier League, Martin Odegaard turn assister twice in that game there, and just shows the ability he has on the ball. An absolute wizard, a captain, a leader. So he'll be so important for them to come through and try and win this title come the end of the season. And the second player for me is someone you probably wouldn't expect. I go with Kai Havertz. Obviously, someone right now that's finding his spot in this Arsenal team. But most importantly, he brings winning across. Obviously, he wins the Champions League with Chelsea. He was the goal scorer that won the game for Chelsea in that game versus Man City. He's been in the German setup with successful German players. He's a multiple respected sort of player that's played in multiple positions, played for big teams, and has represented his national team, obviously, as well as playing very well for his club team. So despite the poor form toward the start of the season and last season, he's really coming to his own here in that sort of false nine or central forward position, scoring goals for fun at the moment. And it'll be so important for them because he can not only score the goals and facilitate, but can also drop out and allow Martinelli and Saka to do the aggressive work as he can sort of pull out towards the edge of the area there. A key person to cross the ball into as well, which is a positive for Arsenal. They seem to be scoring a lot of goals from set pieces, from corners. So another focal figure for that as well. And I think if he plays well, it takes the stress off Odegaard, takes the stress off Saka and Rice to constantly be at 110%. So I think he'll be very important for their run in towards the end of the season. Now touching on two big games for them. Obviously the first one, goes without saying, Man City versus Arsenal on the weekend. It's massive for two reasons. One, the momentum. Keep the momentum going. They're on a really great roll at the moment, probably the informed team of the competition. And secondly, if they win this game, they put a massive gap on Man City in the scheme of this title race here. Going more than a game ahead of City is a big deal. It takes that stress off you. Obviously, still got Liverpool there as well, but everyone thinks Man City are the team to beat. If you can, peg them down a step here, I think Liverpool will be happy with that as well. It will help create that gap and create that just belief in yourself that you can keep going and keep doing this. The further away City are, I think the more confident Arsenal will be they can go and win this title. So whether it be a draw or a win, I think they prefer a win, but if you can even get a draw, it means City doesn't gain points on you. And if you lose this weekend, Liverpool are likely to win as well. So all of a sudden you drop from first to third and it's a whole different momentum, whole different story, and that mindset might start slipping. The second game being Manchester United versus Arsenal. Again, another away from home game. The second last game of the season. My boys, Man United, will be going up against Arsenal, and it could be massive. The title could be decided that weekend as well. I think Liverpool play Aston Villa away from home as well. So, big games for these clubs away from home. If you're in that title race still by that point in time, you have to win that game or find a way to get something out of it, because last season, actually, last three games United and Arsenal play, they've all been great games, but they didn't win the game at Old Trafford last season. United with a poor side took it to Arsenal early in the season, and United will have a much stronger side. They might be in great form on the back of an FA Cup semi-final win. You've got to be able to take 3 points at Old Trafford there. No matter what happens, you've got to find a way, because if you drop that game there, you can almost say goodbye to the title, especially with the fixture that Man City have got and potentially the form that Liverpool in that point in time. So, two players for Arsenal, Odegaard and Havertz, and the two games to keep an eye on, the key games, are obviously this weekend's game against Man City and then the second last game of the season versus Manchester United. We now move on to the second place team currently in the table, which is Liverpool. And it goes without saying, the first important player is Mo Salah. They've missed stages without him with hamstring injuries, AFCON, and they've dealt with it well, but you have to have Mo Salah on the side. He's second in the Golden Boot. He's always a threat. And it's Liverpool's side's been made to attack and create chances. And who's going to put them away? Mo Salah. We know he's built a great connection there with Darwin Núñez, which is really important as well. Gets Núñez involved in the game as well. But when Liverpool at their best, Mo Salah's scoring goals, they're breaking down backlines for fun, and they're putting multiple goals over teams this season. And you need Mo Salah there to have that done, and you need him there performing at a high level. So I guess it's a multifaceted thing. You want him fit, and you want him firing as well. So making sure he's always available for Premier League games, and then also making sure he's in that form, feeding the ball, giving those opportunities, and let him do what he does best. Because I don't think we doubt him. When he has the ball at his feet, he can do magical things. But for Liverpool, it's making sure he gets enough service, feed him the ball as much as possible, and let him go to work. Because if Mo Salah's firing, if Arsenal slip up here and there, and they keep this small gap over Man City alive, Liverpool can easily go on and win this league title. And the second player, once again, probably not the most straightforward answer, but I've gone with Endo, a big player I think he's just getting the respect he deserves, nowhere near the amount of respect, but he has been massive for Liverpool this season. Ever since that poor game versus Crystal Palace, he's had a turn in form and in confidence, and you can see why he was so well respected in the Bundesliga. An absolute workhorse in midfield, strong, tenacious into a tackle, and is so important for Liverpool's system because he allows McAllister to play in that more 8 position and create for midfield. And in himself, Endo as well, wins the ball back and can get Liverpool transitioning much quicker. We know they're a team that in the past have pressed really high, but in recent weeks we've seen that sort of come back, that identity of winning the ball back as quickly as possible and get the counter-attack going and getting possession quicker, and Endo is so important for that. Protecting that back four as well. So many rotations in that back four with European football injuries, availability. He's been so important for them this season and will have to continue to be available, continue to play well for Liverpool if they want to go and win this title, because how aggressive they are, how attacking they are, they need someone there to hold it all together. And right now that's been Endo this season. So for the back end of the season, they need him performing at a high level to hold it all together, to be the glue in midfield, to be that tenacious, into the player type tackler, and to keep Liverpool firing in that midfield there and keep them ticking over. There are 2 big games now for Liverpool. Starting once again, it seems to be a common theme. Manchester United away from home. That's their first big fixture to come. You look at it, it's understandable. They only drew 0-0 to United at home at Anfield this season. One of the only few times they've dropped points at Anfield this season. And second, they beat you in the FA Cup 4-3. So going to Old Trafford is never easy, especially against this United side that's gaining a bit of momentum, got some players back and got some form. But if you want to win this title and you got it about, you got that mojo and you got that bottle about, you have to get 3 points there, or at least a point. You cannot be dropping points away at Old Trafford because once again, it's so tight, so congested that if you drop points, you lose a game. You go from being amongst the group to being 2 points behind or a point behind teams, and they're positioned quite nicely now, equal on top. But they've got to keep winning. They've got to keep the pressure on Arsenal because they're less experienced. Liverpool are the experienced group. A few players that have been there and done it, a few winners. So keep winning, keep the pressure on Arsenal, and most importantly, keep City behind you. I think the biggest thing this season for Arsenal and Liverpool is keep City behind you. And the second game being Aston Villa, second last game of the season, as I mentioned earlier. A massive game for Liverpool. If they're still in the title race, you got to go there and got to get a massive 3 points because we've seen Arsenal and City have not won there. We've seen teams go there and struggle. Not many teams have gone there and won over the last 12 months. It's a massive game, and if your title's still on the line at that point in time, you have to go there and get all 3 points. Unai Emery's team will still be competing for the top 4 at that point in time, you assume. So they're going to be fighting for it. You're going to be fighting for it. It's who wants it more, who's going to make the least mistakes to go and win that game. And I think, if Liverpool are at the bottom, they win these 2 games, and I think they're going to win the Premier League title because I think Arsenal have tougher, more difficult fixtures and they can drop points there. But in my difficulty rankings, these 2 ones ranked very highly for me, both 3-pointers in my mind in terms of they're being the toughest game that Liverpool can face. If you can get 3 points in both these games or 4 points out of the possible 6, it's a massive tick in Liverpool's books and it will go towards them winning this Premier League title for me. So that are the 2 big games for Liverpool. Now we come to the defending champs, the treble winners, the current best team in Europe. It's Manchester City, who currently sit in 3rd place. The first key player for me is Bernardo Silva, someone that's been there all season, a creator for midfield, can play out on the flank, and it takes the pressure off Kevin De Bruyne. And most importantly, that is it. He is always available and he can take the pressure of De Bruyne, can create from deeper positions. So important to get the cogs turning in that City side there, playing in those little 1-2 triangles between the lines, creating for the wingers, popping up on the edge of the area or cutting into the box for a shot at goal as well. He's going to be so important, not purely just the output numbers, but for getting the City team on the right foot. They can be sluggish at times, especially with Champions League to come versus Real Madrid in the FA Cup as well. You need someone to get this team, clicking and alive. And if it's not going to be Kevin De Bruyne, he's still trying to get his feet under him. It's going to be Bernardo Silva, someone that's been there all season, can continue to perform and can get the job done. So as such, he's the first key player for me. And the second one is Phil Foden, obviously having a career-type season at the moment in the England squad, playing out of his skin, probably the best winger currently in the Premier League. Him and Saka are probably level, but you need his form to continue. You need that output to continue from him, because if you lose that, you lose a bit of your threat. And with Haaland right now, still great, but not in the tip-top form, you need others to pitch in. And right now, it feels like he's their best winger at the club. He's the one giving, supplying of the goals, the assists, the creativity. Won the derby off his own boot. turn that Brentford game around off his own boot. He's going to be so important for this team. We need those heroic type performances come the back end of the season. If City want to keep winning games because they're going to fatigue. They went all the way for 3 trophies last year. They're going on their way to try and win 3 more again this year. They need players to stand up that aren't Kevin De Bruyne, that aren't Bernardo Silva, that aren't Erling Haaland. And Foden can be that guy to establish himself once again as a top 10 player in the Premier League if he can do it once again for this City side. Coming to their important games now. Obviously, the weekend's game, I've said it, versus Arsenal. Massive for City in the fact that got a few players out, and if you don't win this game, you drop 4 points, I believe, behind Arsenal. And obviously, if Liverpool win as well, another 4 points off them as well. You lose that connection, more than a game behind them. It's just for mentality. I know City are a great side in terms of mentality, but it's massive. They're human. If you see that gap, you think, oh, have we really got it to go again? Can we really go again and win this Premier League title coming from behind? So massive weekend for them. And they're at home as well, somewhere where they constantly win games of football. And you know what? It's probably one of their hardest games to come. The next 2 games are probably their hardest too. And they're both at home. But you've got to get the 3 points done. And then the rest is a bit easy for City. That obviously leaves me my second game, which is obviously against Aston Villa. You obviously they took 3 points off you. You're coming off the back of an Arsenal game as well. If they win that, if they draw that, whatever happens there, you have to back it up once again against an Aston Villa side that's fighting for top 4. That's a very solid side that matches up quite well with you in terms of playing without the ball and playing with the ball. We saw last time the Aston Villa midfield caused a bit of problems for Manchester City. So important you get going early, you get on top early, and you snuff out any chance of Aston Villa causing an upset. The next 2 weeks are massive for Manchester City. Those 2 games for me are the keys. Obviously, the hardest 2 games I think they've got left in all their fixtures to come. So it's important that they get those 2 games sorted. They win those games. And then, as I said, the rest is sort of clear sailing and easy sailing towards the back end of the season. With that being said, that brings me to the final point of the video, which is how I see the ladder standing come the end of the season. And boy, it's going to be tight. And as I think we all expect, it's going to be tight. I'm keeping in mind no massive bottle jobs or no teams obliterating or falling apart. I'm taking the squad fitnesses now, a bit of European balance into it as well. But, for all of us Premier League fans, at least, all these teams are in Europe. Obviously, Liverpool are the FA Cup, so is Arsenal, but Man City are in the FA Cup, but they've got the bigger squad. So it's almost like a level playing field. It's just purely on how they match up against the teams they are playing. With that being said, obviously taking into account my fixture difficulty, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is how I see the ladder finishing up. I've got in 3rd place Arsenal on 85 points, just falling short. And they've got too many difficult fixtures away at Old Trafford, away at the Etihad. And then obviously you got tough games against Chelsea and Tottenham as well. I just don't see them getting over the line in all those games there. You've got Liverpool in 2nd for me on 87 points, so 2 points clear of Arsenal. They've obviously got Manchester United. They've also got Aston Villa away from home as well. A few sort of tough ones in between there, but once again, their home form is ridiculous. I back in their experienced players like Van Dijk, like Salah, like Trent when he comes back to get the job done in most of those games. And they've got Europa League football, which unless they avoid hopefully they avoid Leverkusen for most of the run through, they should be able to prioritise Premier League football. And with that all being said, it leads me to number 1, which is Manchester City on 88 points. I think they get it by 1 point over Liverpool. So they've got tough games the next 2 weeks, and this could all change if they drop one of those 2 games out at home. But outside of that, there's not many difficult games. I think West Ham is a tough one, but outside of that, it's pretty easy for them to come into towards the rest of the season there. So if they get 6 from 6 in the next 2 games, this gap could be even bigger. But I just backed them in. They're winners for a reason. They're experienced for a reason. In my heart of hearts, I still think Liverpool can go and do it. But looking at the fixtures, using my brain and taking my heart out of it, I've got Man City winning on 88 points. So with that being said, Man City on 88, Liverpool on 87, and Arsenal on 85 points. That's how I see the Premier League finishing up. Come back to this in a few weeks' time, 10 weeks' time when it's all said and done, and look back at this video and make sure I got it right. I hope I got it right. I hope I was unbiased as possible. But I think there are 2 players from each team to look out for that are going to be important for the back end of the season. 2 games each team need to focus on in terms of importance for the title race and obviously the difficulty and my final ladder standings. Just to recap before we finish the video, I've got Arsenal with 19 points of difficulty in terms of the fixtures to come. Liverpool with 17 points of difficulty and Manchester City with 14 points of difficulty. Obviously 3 being the most difficult, 2 being a moderate, 1 being very easy fixture. For Arsenal, the 2 most important players towards the back end of the season is Martin Odegaard and Kai Havertz for me. 2 important games are obviously this weekend's game versus City and then away to United also. For Liverpool, 2 important players are Endo and Mo Salah. Important games for them are away at Old Trafford and away at Aston Villa. And then for Manchester City, Bernardo Silva alongside Phil Foden are their most important players for the back end of the season. And games at home versus Arsenal and Aston Villa in the next 2 weeks are 2 key games for them as well. Once again, one more time, I said the ladder finishing up. Man City on top with 88 points, Liverpool in second on 87 points, and Arsenal on 85 points in third. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Please, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all the support in the recent videos. Press that post notification bell so you know when I upload as well. Let me know what you think about these predictions in the comment section down below. Who have you got winning the title? Who's a shoe-in? Who's not a shoe-in? How do you see it all going out? Who's important? What are the big games to come? Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you believe that my predictions and my calls are right or not? Grill me in the comment section if you don't believe me at all. I'll take it on the chin. Thanks for the recent support. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Hope you enjoy the rest of the football action for the end of the Premier League season. And I'll see you guys in another video very, very soon. Until then, guys, I'll see you later. Peace.